It's fair to say that Minecraft Snapshot 22W04A added the most chef's kissiest of chef's kiss mechanics ever. Armor trim. Hey, how you doing, everybody? This is me, Waddles, and welcome to episode 20 of the Everything series. In this episode of the series, we'll be taking a deep dive into Minecraft's best armor upgrade ever. We'll talk your odds of finding these things, how to actually use them, and maybe even how emerald trim is the best trim ever. You can fight me. Fights aside, we'll begin where we always begin, with a little bit of backstory. But this time, by little bit, I mean it. There's really not much backstory here. As of the recording of this video, this feature is literally like 5 days old. The stuff is like brand new right here. Armor trimming is a brand new Minecraft mechanic that is slated to release in full with the 1.20 update later this year. 22W04A did something absolutely unprecedented to many of the structures that have been in Minecraft for years. It changed them. In the snapshot to implement armor trim, a bunch of the structures got brand new loot. Again, for the first time in like ever. As of the recording of this video, there are currently 11 different new trim items. Those new trim items are right here on screen. Because they all do similar things, they're going to look relatively similar, but they do have their own design quirks. That's a small side note, smithing templates. The most recent snapshot also added a netherite upgrade smithing template. Because it doesn't really focus on trimming the armor though, we won't be talking about it very much here today. 11 different items. Keep the number 11 in mind today because this is going to come in handy big time. So we have 11 different trims, and then we have 4 different pieces of armor. The helmet, the chest plate, the legs, the boots. Every single type of trim comes with a different design for each piece of armor. We'll take a look at each piece in a little bit more depth, but really quick, a quick overview. For the purpose of this overview, I went with netherite as a base armor, and then quartz as the trim color. In alphabetical, we've got coast, then we've got dune, then we have eye, which, side note, I really like that one. Then we've got rib with a little bit of different coloration, then we've got sentry. Next up, we've got snout, then we've got spire, then we've got tide, then we've got vex, and finally, we have ward and wild. 11 designs total, 1 unique design for each piece of armor. Then to complicate it even more, we've got 10 different colors that you can pick for your armor trim. It's absolutely amazing. And then finally, to spice it up a little bit more, of course, you can put armor trim on almost every set of armor in the game. The only set that isn't going to work is leather armor and the elytra, at least as the recording of this video. That means yes, turtle shell helmets absolutely work. Now, before we go any farther, I think it should be said that this is an experimental feature. It's not fully out yet, which means things could change, potentially big time. If anything does change with this armor trimming mechanics, from maybe designs to where you find them, to odds, to who knows, if we're lucky, maybe even more trim, I'll update a pinned comment down below this video. With that out of the way, it's time for a quick trim tutorial. Let's say you had this set of iron armor right here, and then you had these trims, and you wanted to make your armor look really good. How do you do that? Well, you're going to need to head over to the brand new, much improved, off-center smithing table. When you open up a smithing table nowadays, you're going to see a small animation and an armor stand with arms. An armor stand with arms. Huh? The animation is hinting at what we could put in here. We could either put that netherite upgrade item, or we could put one of these trim items in here. Let's go ahead and put dune right there. Next up, we get some new animations. It's going to show us every type of armor that we can put in here, and also materials that we can put inside of this thing too. So we'll go ahead and grab the helmet, and then we need to pick a color. And for the helmet, I don't know, we would go ahead and go with emerald. There we go, we've got a dune helmet. Next up, we throw another design in here, we throw another piece of armor, and then we pick a color. For this one, we'll go ahead and do this. Now this process, unlike say enchanting or naming something, does not require any experience at all. All you're going to need is the item, something to trim, and then a material. Now take a look at what happens when we do this. This item and the material are fully consumed. They're gone. I don't get them back. Instead, I just get this brand new set of armor. One of my favorite things about it is the fact that you could trim every single piece of armor as a different color. It also breathes some fresh air into the old, more basic armor types. But unfortunately, when I crafted my beautiful set of new armor right here, I used up all of my trim templates. What would have been smarter to do before I crafted that armor is actually take these templates with their dedicated block and a couple diamonds over to the crafting table. Now each template has a different block, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. For this example, we'll use the coast armor trim, which needs cobblestone to duplicate. Cobblestone plus 7 diamonds is the current recipe, equals trim duplication. Now we have 2 right there, and if I had another cobblestone, I could go ahead and go back over here and do it again and continue duplicating these things. This is a 1 to 2 recipe, meaning you will turn 1 into 2 every time. And so, for basic armor trim mechanics, I think that just about does it. And those are the basics there. That's how you duplicate your trim, so you can actually use it more than once, and of course, that's how you trim. For this next portion of the video, I dove into the game's files and figured out where you can find each one of these ones, including the specific chest and the odds that you're going to have at finding each one. We'll also talk about the block that you're going to need if you want to duplicate these things. We'll go in alphabetical order. We were just talking about the coast trim, so we'll start there. If you're looking for the coast trim, it's off to the ocean for you. You'll be able to find the coast armor trim that looks something like this on every single set of armor inside of shipwreck chests. Now keep in mind, we've got a lot of different colorations for these trims here. You can do amethyst trim, you can do quartz. To show off every single design on each set of armor, I went with a netherite base, including on the netherite armor. We'll talk about how I did that in a little bit though. I don't know if it's just me or what, but the coast one almost reminds me of either like a wave going on or almost like a ship in there, right? That could be a boat. I don't know. Now, as for the specific chests that you're looking for when you're looking for this trim, it's actually any of them. If you're lucky, you'll be able to find this trim inside of this treasure chest, but you could also find it inside of the map chest or even the junk chest. And again, right now, you'll have about an 11% chance to find this in each one of those chests. Next up, we've got Dune, and the design on this one, I mean, it kind of gives it away, I can't lie. Taking a look at the design of this thing and taking a look at the design of that thing right there, we got that same pattern going on. It's so cool looking. Just like with Coast, if you're looking for Dune, an 11.1% chance. This structure is a classic. I mean, it's pretty predictable. You know exactly where you're going to be able to find this thing. Break into the desert pyramid, make your way to the bottom, and maybe, if you're lucky, you'll find the template inside of one of the chests. Keep in mind that with these odds, you are not limited. If you're lucky, you could find multiple armor trims inside of the structure. You just gotta be lucky. Next up, we've got one of my favorites, the eye one with that circle in the middle. It's so cool. The circle kind of gives it away. If you're looking for the eye trim, you're gonna need to head over to the stronghold. Inside of the stronghold, we'll be looking for 2 categories of chests, either the library chests or the altar chests. You'll have a 9.1% chance to find it in either one. Before we take a look at this specific chest though, look at this design. Chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I love it. The eye, it just looks so good. Also, keep in mind that the designs do carry over to the back of the armor sets as well. For the most part, the back is a whole lot less impressive than the front though. So library chests, that's pretty obvious. This is going to be the chest that you find inside of the library, inside of the stronghold. I wasn't lucky. If you're super familiar with Stronghold Generation, the other one might be obvious to you too, but in case it isn't, the altar chest is the chests that look like these. And look at that. And now I am lucky. Alphabetically, our next design is found over inside of the nether. To check out the rib design, one of the more cool ones in my opinion, we'll need to find a nether fortress. With only a 4.8% chance to find one of these things inside of one of the chests that you'll find generating in the nether fortress corridors, this thing is going to be a little bit more tricky to find, but it is absolutely, definitely worth it. The rib trim is actually based off of the wither skeleton. It's kind of like got those like bony ribs going on, you know? And if you put the netherite trim on the netherite armor, you also get this face in here. Really creepy. This video isn't really meant to be about cool designs you can make, but I kind of have to show off this one. With the rib trim and netherite armor, you can make a tiger. Or like, almost a tiger. It's so cool. One thing to keep in mind for the Sentry armor set, and really every single armor set as well, is the fact that the devs, at least right now, have not changed the structure generation at all. I've always thought the devs could definitely add to the outpost. After all, it's like empty down there, or maybe at the least, actually add the missing block to the structure. But that's kind of beside the point. This armor trim, I mean, it looks pretty nice. The chest plate is pretty plain though. It's really literally just a trim. You got the sleeves going on, and I guess it's kind of cool. The backside, same thing. To make up for the lack of chests inside of this structure, you get the highest chance to find this thing that we've had all day. A 20% chance to find it inside of this chest right here. It's back to the nether for us, but this time, over to the Piglin Bastion. The Piglin Bastion is dangerous. This one's going to be really dangerous if you want your hands on it, and it's also going to be a little bit tricky. If you're looking for the snout pattern, you got a 4.8% chance to find this in any of the Bastion chests. Now, it is kind of offset with the fact that there's a lot of loot here, but still, it's dangerous, and 4.8 is not exactly the best. The snout pattern is, well, I mean, it's a pattern. It's kind of cool. You got this line in the middle. You got that loop down at the bottom of the chest plate. I mean, it's nice. The most interesting part of this pattern is the pattern on the side of the helmets. You could maybe almost make like a pair of those waddles over there inside of the Bastion.
With those AirPod Pro Maxes.
I don't know. It's kind of fun. Now, I know we said we were going to talk about them, but I couldn't find it in the Snapshot video. This is the treasure room with the guaranteed netherite upgrade inside of these chests as well. Thinking about the end and the structures that we have in the game, the end is almost completely barren, but it's not entirely. Inside of the end, of course, you can find end cities. And even better, inside of the end city chests, meaning not the chests on the ships, you'll be able to find the brand new Sentry armor trim. The Sentry trim is based off of the shulker. If you look close, you can see a shulker created by the pants and the chest plate, right in the middle. For this one, you'll have a 4.8% chance to find this trim that looks like that inside of each one of these chests. Next up, we've got the Tide trim, found inside of the Ocean Monument. Now, this is going to be the only trim that works different as of right now. Think about the Ocean Monument structure for a minute and what isn't found inside of the Ocean Monument. That's right, chests. There are no chests here. Instead of adding a chest to this structure, the devs did something completely different. They added a drop to the Elder Guardian. If you take out an Elder Guardian, you're not going to have a 20% chance that this thing will actually drop the trim as well. No luck this time. Is it worth it? Well, in my opinion, absolutely. This trim is really, really cool. I love the wave work going on here. It's pretty sweet in my opinion. I like it a lot, and the helmet is pretty sweet too. This is going to be one of the trickiest ones of all to find, and this one is definitely worth it too. It looks so good, especially the helmet. You get this mean eyebrows right there. To find the Vex trim, 4.8% chance to find it inside of any of these Woodland Mansion chests. Now, I assume you're familiar with the Woodland Mansion, at least vaguely. And if you are, that would mean that you know that there's not a chest in every single one of these rooms, and some of the chests are pretty well hidden. It's such a cool set, though. You got those eyebrows, and then you almost got like a suit to the top in the middle right there. Look at that right there. You take the netherite, maybe trim it with quartz. Yeah, it's a literal suit. Dressed fancy. Now it's time to go to the deepest, darkest depths of her world, or in other words, the Ancient City, because the Ancient City has a brand new loot item in this update. It's going to be the Ward trim, with a 4.8% chance to find it in any of these chests. 4.8, just like it is for some of the other structures, really isn't the best, but at least for this one, you're offset with like a million different chests inside of this structure. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you can get lucky and find it somewhere. Now this is going to be one that's worth looking for. Disney adults out there, they're probably rejoicing worldwide. The devs went full Disney adult on this one and put Mickey Mouse in the middle of the armored chestplate. It's not for me, but it's pretty insane. And finally, last but not least, we've got the Wild trim, which you'll be able to find inside of the Jungle Temple. And now I'm sure you noticed, for each one of these I've been popping a block up on screen. That block, like it kind of says near the block, is going to be the block that you need inside of the crafting recipe to duplicate it. You'll also need 7 diamonds every single time in one of these trims. This jungle trim, I mean, it's a trim. It's not one of my favorites. For this one, due to the lack of chests inside of it, you're going to have way better odds. A 20% chance to be able to find this generating inside of one of the chests inside of this thing. So those are all of the trims, where you find them, and how you would craft more of those trims. Let's take a quick look at the colorations right here. We've got 10 different color options currently. They're all gems, which I like it. I like the consistency. I've seen people saying like maybe a glow ink sack or echo shard, which don't get me wrong, they're all cool, but again, the consistency here, it all actually makes sense. Amethyst is really, really cool. Copper is kind of orangey. Diamond is that glimmering diamond tone. Emerald is perfect and unbiased. It matches my hair. Gold is nice. Redstone and quartz down there. Netherite, lapis, and then finally iron. So usually, if you have a set of armor, you cannot trim it with the same type of material. However, right now we have something a little sneaky going on here. So if we go ahead and take the eye trim, or any of the trims for that matter, and put it inside of this thing, go ahead and upgrade our diamond with that trim. Then what I could go ahead and do is take this upgrade, put that inside of there, and there we go. The lads, we've done it. We've broken a system. We've got a netherite armor with netherite trim. The most expensive set of armor in the game. And one of the really cool things about this whole trimming mechanic is the fact that I think it breathes new life into some of these older armor sets right here. Like, I can see it now. Maybe you have a server and you're doing like an event, and so maybe there's like that decorative fancy set of gold armor with like, I don't know, I think red goes good with that, or maybe even the copper, or definitely the purple. You got that like gold trimmed armor with the purple on it for like something fancy or cool, you know? I think it's pretty cool. Amethyst looks absolutely amazing on every single set of armor, especially netherite. You get those deep purple tones in there, and yeah, that's just perfect. The only two types of armor, if you will, that are in the game that you cannot trim right now are going to be leather types of armor that doesn't work, and unfortunately elytra as well. I definitely feel like trimming the elytra would be really, really cool, or maybe at the least like dyeing the elytra. But the leather one, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You can already dye the leather armor. There's so much customization there. So for basic mechanics and maybe more advanced mechanics, everything like that, where you find it, we've just about done it. The very final thing that I like to touch on in today's video are some interesting fun facts that I found out about these things. Before we jump into that segment though, if you've enjoyed this episode so far, leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe and turn notifications on for Snapshot videos and more of this series. Down below this video, what is your favorite combination? Pick one trim and one set of armor. What do you think makes the best looking set of armor in the entire game? Over inside of the nether for this next one, as we all know, if you wear gold armor, any piece of it, the piglins will not care about you at all. If we took any type of armor and trimmed it with gold, you might think having a little bit of gold in the mix, that would stop you from the piglins, but no, definitely not. However, on the other side of things, if we take gold armor and trim it with anything else, the piglins still won't care about you. Gosh, which reminds me, I can't believe I haven't said it until this point, but this trimming stuff, it's all aesthetic. Just because you trimmed your iron armor with netherite, it will not provide more knockback resistance or protection. A fun little one that I really like is the dev's attention to detail here for this one. So check this out. I have an iron chestplate trimmed with netherite and it's all like black or grayed out. Over here, it's gold and the text right there is like gold. It corresponds to the color going on. Another interesting thing to take a look at here is the fact that all of these icons are going to be the same every single time. This is a Vex trim, this is an eye trim, and that's a Spire trim. Maybe the devs will end up coming back and add a little bit more customization to these icons later on, but for now, that's how it is. In the initial snapshot video, I messed up a little bit. I said you cannot retrim armor, but you definitely, most certainly can. I've already trimmed this with Spire, but now I want Snout. I'll go ahead and add that trim to it, and I can change it. When you change a trim, they don't stack or anything like that. They literally change. But I don't know, on that note, I do think maybe the concept of stacking trims could be really interesting too. Like I mentioned earlier, there are hidden references inside of a lot of these trims. For example, the desert one kind of looks like the desert temple, and that circle on the eye one, it's an eye of Ender. One armor that is consistently different no matter the color is the rib one. For some reason, the rib trim seems to have a more dull trim, almost every time. And I hate to leave you on this note, but oh god.
Oh god. You look closely and you see if you can see it.
And so there it is, everything to know about armor trimming as of the most recent snapshot. Again, if anything changes, pin comment down below. If you like this episode, leave a like and subscribe for more. And don't forget those beautiful notifications. And next up, I recommend the Everything episode that came right before this on the Chisel Bookshelf, another amazing 1.20 edition. Thank you all for watching. You're the best, you're the best. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.